No, Izzy. Ash, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Well, let's do something I'll probably get right. First of all, yes, I'm going with the root beer tonight instead of water. I'm allowed a treat. So, let's do some nerd Christmas here. We're going to put the cakes over the side because I don't want to deal with that yet. So, this is a 8-digit clock kit. And I'm going to put that together. And I don't know why that didn't work. There we go. I had to refresh the chat. Oh, I should probably look up the instructions on this. That way I know what resistor goes where. Although, actually, I do believe it's labeled, which is rather nice and quite honestly unusual. I'll try to get this in here. It's gonna be really hard. Focus, you motherfucker. Focus. Okay, you see there, where it says 1K, let you know it's a 1K resistor, which is nice. I think they're all 1K, which is rather nice. Yeah, I don't see any. Well, there's a 2K resistor. Couple, yeah, there's a couple that aren't, but majority of them are. Yeah, there's 42 1K resistors. This is gonna take a minute. Let's do this. And I really like this kit that it comes with this little plastic case that has everything in there. Because that's a little bit nicer than, well, you've seen how most of them come in. They're just cheap Ziploc bags. Although I wish they'd put some foam in for the ICs. Hey, I'll take what I can get. And we're gonna set you aside. Yeah, oh, there's some diodes here. Ooh, everything is mixed up. This is ugh. Okay, there's some diodes. There's an LED, and there's a couple more that are loose. Set them aside. LED. That's easy to figure out. And yeah, I've got my iron turned on. I think these are. Hey, no, this is not from Jameco. My Jameco order that I placed right before Thanksgiving still hasn't shipped. I don't know what's going on there. 1K. Let's see. That would be black brown. I'm working on learning my colors on here. I know it goes black, brown, Roy G. Biv. Let's see. 1K is black, brown, or brown, black, red. Okay, that makes sense. And these are, well, properly enough. Oh, that is not. That is. No, that's brown, black, red. In fact, move my. I've been trying to use my portable soldering iron just because I really like how thin the point is on it. But It does have a very small battery, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a 1K. When in doubt, multimeter out. Let's get these. I'm gonna probably put in the resistors first and then go back and solder them because there'll be a lot of flipping for 42 of these damn things. I've had this the whole time. This is tip tinner. It's essentially an acid, and it dissolves the oxides that build up on the soldering iron tip. It actually came in the very same setup as the Spicy Carmex did. And the copper wool, maybe it's bronze, I don't remember exactly which, that I used to clean off my tip in between. Ooh, there's a bunch of these. You've actually seen me use the smaller one a couple times on stream. The tips I have in this iron are not the best. I need to just give up and buy a better soldering tip, but I actually do like this Snyder. Um, oof. That bit weird. I'll show you this. I have used this, and you can see where I've been on there a little bit. Yeah, it just takes the oxide off the tips, which every single, I'm not getting my finger near this because this is turned on. Every single up close video of a soldering iron, it looks nasty. They all do. Even the high end Hakko ones. Hakko? I don't remember how you fuck you say it. The ones that are more expensive than I want to pay for. Apparently they are worth the price, but $400, I believe, for the full set. A little high for my blood. I think I'm going to actually get a row in. And then I'm going to go ahead and solder it. Because the soldering is my favorite part. Put these in here so I know to keep them separated. So wise men once said, you've got to keep them separated. I think it's going to be real fun is how many ICs are in here. Those are fun to get. They're not hard to solder per se, but they are a pain in the ass to hold as you're getting them soldered. I will try to remember and post a link in chat, Ain, for the Hakko that I'm talking about. It's a cool looking station, and it's very nice, but I don't have any. I do not have a need for something that high up. This, I think, $70 setup I got from Harbor Freight does perfectly fine. Although I have been looking at a Yahoo, which is essentially a Chinese-made knockoff. But that's for future me to worry about. I've thought about getting a cheap hot air station, not ash, actual hot air machine, for surface mount components. I did buy solder paste now, and I've got some surface mount component kits that I picked off Amazon. I'm going to try that with, but I've not done that before, and I'm not sure about doing it with a solder knife. I'm sure you can. It's just figuring out how I'm going to do it. Ugh, I've got these in there really fugly, but I don't fucking care. They're just resistors. And this is purely a kit for me. It's not like I'm sending this to anybody or anything. Okay. Just because you guys are here, how about some spicy Carmex? Which I'm getting a little bit low on that. Alright. Get some solder out. No, I'm not putting it on my lips because it's fucking toxic. If I want to put something toxic on my mouth, I drink tea. Oop, missed one. A little more. Huh, see ya. Shit. I've been doing some playing with Arduino lately. I've got one of my sets up here. Because I'm going to try to build a dice roller on it that does more than just D6. My window's open, so I've got some ventilation aimed. Thanks for the concern. Wait. No, I don't have my window open. But considering I was vaping tetrahydrocannabinol earlier, I probably don't have a whole lot of room to talk. And these are some spindly leads. One thing I do like about this kit, though, is it is using the good resistors that you can actually read the fucking colors on. Tell me these cutters are getting bad. These are getting bad. Try to move these around a little bit. Just a little more solder on that one. He looks a little thin. Yeah, there we go. Much better. God, these cutters are about to see the last of their days. Which I buy the very cheap ones. Yes, you can spend a lot of money on side cutters, but quite honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference, especially for what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't want to really get away. I've got a couple more in stock, I think. Appropriately enough, another set of red ones. The D6 roller how is here, but I still have not bought wire. Spring kind of sucks on these, but it's all right. Blades are good. So my exit. That's flux off there. Ugh. Okay. That's a lot of leads. So there are 7 on there. I've been looking at the Adafruit site, and I kind of want to play with something that's got an e-ink display because I think it'd be cool, and I really like how e-ink looks. Might be weird, but I think it looks really cool, especially the color e-inks. I had a Nook years ago, and I actually enjoyed that reader quite a bit. I've since upgraded to a full Amazon Kindle Fire HD 11, I believe it's 11th generation, which is my daily driver for tablets. Great tablet, but I kind of miss the simplicity. Oh, I'm afraid to look, Ain. Sorry about the camera shaking. My cat is on the shelf where that is hatched, and there she goes. Oh, the heater's kicked on, so she's going to the vent. So I believe it's below freezing here right now. Luckily, it is below freezing, but it is not precipitating in any way. Because I have D&D on Saturday, and I would actually like to be able to drive up and get there. Because while I do enjoy playing online, there's something about being able to play with your friends in real life that is really, really nice. I gotta admit, this kit is pretty nice. Everything is screen printed on there, silk screened. Like, for example, the numbers, the 8 numbers, they're all the same, so it won't matter how I put those on there. But all the resistors are labeled very nicely. Well made kit. And you can, oh, come on, focus. The colors are much easier to read. You see there from the top there, brown, black, red. That means 1, 0, and then red is 10 to the third. That's how you read the resistors. Colors go in order. Black, ammo. Black, brown, and then the spectrum of the rainbow, Rouge Bib. And then it goes in order from 0 to 9. Or in the case of the third, or excuse me, the third digit in which power of 10. And the lead, only thing is the leads on these are really spindly. I'm just going to go ahead and put those in. There's just something about watching solder just melt right into the joint that makes me happy. Man, the spring on these clippers suck. That's alright. Hey, Tony. What's up? I just saw your message, and yes, I do. Quite a bit. Oh, I need to put a link to the stream. I thought you did a Twitch clip. Um, Tony, the one thing I would recommend, especially for you, I don't know if you use Epic Game Store or I know you use GOG because we've talked about that before. Setting up Heroic Launcher, which will let you launch games from non-Steam services, as well as update them automatically. And since I know you well, you're going to want RetroDeck. I would also, depending on which model I do, RetroDeck is easy. It's pretty straightforward. Um, the other main update that I did on mine, because mine is the base model, is that I went ahead and got a bigger. I think it's an M2. The hard drive is an M2, but it's not the stick size. I believe it's a 2230. Oh yeah, it makes sense. If you're gonna do that, you don't need it. Um, and I would probably get. I think that's the one with the OLED too. I absolutely love my Steam Deck. I don't have a bad thing to say about them. Um, I would not recommend the Asus ROG, whatever. I've heard that it has some issues. I have a docking station for mine. I know this is not going to surprise you at all. I almost never play with it docked, but I did not get the official station. I got a $30 one, but it does what I need to do. And mostly I used it so I could plug in a mouse and keyboard while I was setting up my retro deck, so I could have in all my emulators. Oh no, I said the E word on stream. Oh no. But yeah, the only game that I've really tried that had issues on it was God of War 2016 had some issues, and apparently that was just that port. And Jedi Fallen, no, not Jedi Survivor, which is just a terrible PC port. Oh, hey, Arler, what's going on? And yeah, having a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard downstairs would be cool. From what I hear, though, Final Fantasy 14 runs really well on the Steam Deck. I actually, before Rebirth came out, I beat Final Fantasy 7 Remake on the Steam Deck, and it worked flawlessly. I can't tell you how it looks plugged into an HDMI just because I've never done it. I bet that solder right into the damn point. Oh, awesome. Appreciate that. Tony, a question for you. Do you want me to bring my portable soldering iron to fix those SNES cartridges you were talking about? I'll use that. This is going to be wonky as fuck, but I'm kind of wonder if I could pull this off or not. That. That's going to work. Works for me. Just let me know on the weekend I'm coming up here because I had the cool case with it. And I assume you've got screwdrivers laying around. Although, I don't know what kind of fastener that SNES cartridges use, and I don't think I own a SNES cartridge. And if I do, it's one of the modern multi-carts. To be honest, if I want to play SNES anymore, if I'm not going to play it on the Steam Deck, I'm going to play it on the SNES Classic. The thing I've been looking at lately on, I don't know if anyone else in here besides me and Brazzle or Retro Gamers, is the Edge mod for the SNES, which apparently improves the graphics and makes it almost as good as the one chips. But haven't looked really into how to do it because I don't have a SNES to work with. I bet you could. Depending on how that monitor connects. And I don't remember what the pinout without looking for HDMI is. I believe it's simple. But that could be me being wrong. Look, I've already got to write a one shot for you assholes. I'll get the damn Bob emote working. It is not going to be that goddamn song. Oh, good. Is HDMI in it? Yeah, you can absolutely use that arcade machine with your Steam Deck. I was hoping that was going to be an HDMI monitor. Honestly, most things anymore, LCD monitors, unless they're hardwired in, are using HDMI because there's so much more of those needed. It's why it's really hard to find small LCD screens that aren't touch, because the vast majority of the market is asking for touch screens now. And economies of scale, blah, 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 blah. So it is hard to find small LCD screens that don't have the touch capability, which isn't a bad thing. You don't have to hook it up. It's just, I prefer if it didn't have it, just less shit to deal with. Kyle, I have a very, very good idea of what I'm going to do for the one shot. Finish out the Calidum Topica trilogy. Ash knows a little bit about it, and he gave me the best fucking name for it. But this weekend, I get to play D&D, and Brazzle there is the unfortunate DM. And yes, I've actually told him, I don't care how big the room is, I cast Fireball. In the new year, in 2025, I am looking at running some one-shots in systems that are not D&D. I got nothing against someone who likes D&D 5e. I enjoy it myself, but I've gotten to where I want to try something else. Shite, I just dropped a fucking resistor. That's gonna be a bitch to see. Where'd you go, you little bastard? No, that's just a lead. If I have to, I will get one out of my storage because I've got a bunch. I think I dropped it. Where? Well, I'll just keep going. If I run out, I've got reserves. Lancer does look cool, and what I think is interesting is, considering the hate that the game got, Lancer is based pretty heavily on D&D 4th edition. I admit I'm not the biggest fan of the setting because I'm really not an anime fan. I really, really dislike anime. But Lancer does look interesting. The ones that I really want to run, I want to run Cities Without Number because I'd like to run something set in the Shadowrun world or the Cyberpunk 2077 world. And I don't like either of the systems those two are built with. Shadowrun is legendarily terrible as a engine. The setting is absolutely cool. Shadowrun's, in my opinion, one of the coolest settings in all of tabletop. And also, Cities Without Number has the best hacking mechanics of any tabletop RPG I've seen. So simple. Another one that I'm interested in running is City of Mist, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse game where you play as people who have connection to a mythos, something out of lore, legend, even pop culture. The How to Play comic that's been released for it, which I think was kind of cool. There is someone whose mythos is John Henry, someone whose mythos is Dr. Frankenstein. I remember the other one was. I have now ran in a game in D&D 5e, a couple of them now, obviously, and Call of Cthulhu, 7th edition. Ane's going to say something, so I'll say it now. And I need to run a one-shot in Pathfinder 2e, which I do prefer to D&D 5e. As I find the character creation gives you more options, and combat is far more of a strategic thing. And one thing I really like about Pathfinder, I don't think it's mentioned as much, is you really have to work as a team to win in Pathfinder. And by win, I mean to make it past combat. There's so many more options. I think the 3-action system is really brilliant. And just overall, just really nice. They're letting. Where's our banana clip? Let's see if I can do it. Let's see, plug in. Okay, do I still have? I think that's the. It's positive. Okay. Don't know if this will connect or not. Okay. You probably can't see this on camera. I am turning on my benchtop power supply. And I believe, if I remember correctly, a button cell is 3 volts. Ooh, a little high, a little high. It's a little below. Come on, voltage or amperage. It does not want to turn on. Don't know why it's not putting out. that off. Strip this wire a little bit to get a better connection. Another setting that I'd like to run a one-shot in while I'm thinking about it is I want to try something in Savage Worlds, which I think is a really, really good universal system. And I think Deadlands would be a fun one-shot, which is Wild West with magic and all that shit. And I think it'd be fun. I've got a one-shot bought or saved for that one. And no, I'm not getting any. I don't think I'm starting to wonder if my power supply is still functioning. That'd be something else to add to the list of shit. To be fair, this was a cheap power supply. But I kind of wouldn't mind building one. And there are some kits, and that may be a stream one of these days. Ooh, no. Come off there. It doesn't matter if those are bridge, because those are going to be trimmed off. I actually think it might be easier to solder these. We're going to connect these one at a time instead of down the line like I've been doing, because it gives a little more room for these very, very spindly little leads. King and Yellow RPG. I don't know if I've got a copy of that. I might. I definitely have Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu. If I knew more about the systems, I would try something like one of the old World of Darkness games. I'm a fan of the lore to Mage, the Ascension, I believe, or is it Awakening? That's old world. Um, a cool one I have that I don't have in PDF, I actually have physically, is Gods of Metal Ragnarok, which is essentially like a brutal legend as an RPG. Everything is heavy metal themed. And of course, I'm a massive metal fan, so that's right up my fucking alley. I need to reread that one to see how the engine works. Um, I did just pick up Shadowrun 4th edition, a big bundle on bundle holding. And I may be at an RPG store this weekend, which means I may come back with a new book. And as much as I do love having the big books on my shelf, it's a lot better to have the PDF, I think, because Lancer, we were talking about Lancer earlier. Great RPG. Great RPG. The book is $80 physical. And to me, that's excessive. It's a big old chunky book. Don't get me wrong. Big old thick boy. But $80 for a book is a bit ridiculous to me. I mean, if I'm running a one shot, I'll let you know if I'm doing it online. I'll be happy to have you. It's 60 is still a lot, but I believe it's about what a D&D book goes for. I think all D&D books are 50 maybe. Although I admit, I'm not going to be buying D&D 2024. I've really yet to see anything that I really thought, okay, this is cool. And just don't see the need in it. And some of the things I have seen, I really don't like how they nerf Paladin. Someone has got to get in the makers of D&D's head that Marshals should be allowed to do cool shit, not just casters. Foundry, the best part about it is the community. And for example, the Pathfinder 2e stuff on there is flawless. That's the way to play it, in my opinion. Oh, there's another one. A really fun RPG that I've got that's based on like 80s and 90s action flicks called Outgunned, which is pretty fast and rules light. And it's got, well, actually, they've got a Roll20 set up for it. Maybe not a Foundry. And I just today picked up, they put a new volume of settings for it out, Action Flicks Volume 2, and I picked it up. Which, the ones they added were Star Wars. Keep in mind when I'm saying added this setting, it's with the serial numbers filed off for obvious reasons. They have a Star Wars one, just police procedural one, a Jurassic Park one, which seemed pretty fun. And there was a couple others that looked like they'd be fun to do. I already have the Action Flicks one, which had things like Blade, superheroes, the Ghostbusters one, which I was really interested in for obvious reasons. Because well, Ghostbusters International isn't getting printed anymore. Although, interestingly, the Ghostbusters RPG was the first RPG released to use a dice bowl system. You know, the more you know. Actually, the one that I did buy because of you, Kyle, I did buy Wrath and Glory. Um, I watched, I don't remember which episode of Inquisitorial Rejects it was, but I thought the system was cool, so I bought it. Still a little fuzzy on the rules. Here's an email telling me about Spectrum. Yeah, no. Great deal just for me. Blah, blah, blah. Ash had gotten me to read Dark Heresy at one point. No, whatever the God, Reach for America. I haven't seen them guys in years. The RPG that's all about the Imperial Guard, or I'm sorry, Astra Militarum. What that one is. But the only thing is, that I think is weird about Wrath and Glory is Admech is an Admech tech priest is really high up on the tier, surprisingly. Appreciate that. I wish I could catch more of the Inquisitorial Reject show, but Pathfinder, my game's on Sunday night, and I've had that on Sunday night for years now. Interestingly, I played Pathfinder a good couple years, and I've never actually played in Galarian. I always played in my DM buddy's homebrew setting. One of them. He's got a she. Excuse me. She's got a couple of them. Also, I don't think she's watching, but Sage is a hell of a DM. Speaking of hell of a DM, keeper, whatever you want to do. Good to see you, keeper. Let's get in here. At an old job I worked at, one of our clients is the local radio guys. Old school radio. Super cool dude. And he was from Ohio. And he swore that the God is my witness, turkeys could fly was based on a somewhat true story. Whether he was telling the truth or he was just messing with all of us, I'll never know, but he always said it was. And knowing how fucking stupid people are, I can believe it. And as my accent would attest, I'm somewhat familiar with rural life. Turkeys are fucking assholes and they're stupid as shit. They taste really fucking good. Also, someone like deer. Deer are incredibly stupid animals. They just taste fucking delicious. Take that back. Deer are very stupid creatures, except for a few weeks out of the year. And you can guess what weeks those are. And surprisingly, our couches should be avoiding. I wouldn't sit on that one. They don't call it the love seat for nothing. I live in the middle of Cape, in middle of town, downtown, right by, well, pretty close to the local sports auditorium. There's a clearing there by right past it, where local college does their softball games. And any time of day you can go by there, and there's usually a deer out in that clearing. And deer in this town have learned they have nothing to fear, so they have no fucks to give. And they will wander into people's yards. I've seen them literally drinking out people's bird baths. My brother lives on the other side of town, in the middle of town, right by the main highway, and has walked out to his backyard to throw trash away into the can, and it had just a dozen of them there. These are not in there the prettiest, but you know what? Don't fucking care. Oh, okay. They just moved the screen pretty there for convenience sake, I guess. Whatever. You know, like I enjoy doing these kids. I really do, and I do them. I did them before I ever streamed. But one thing I really like is just getting to hang out with you guys for a while. And sometimes I think, honestly, the kits and the electronics work is kind of secondary. Getting here to sit around, talk about whatever I want to. Which lately is RPGs because I just fucking love tabletop. I've been a video gamer my whole life. I mean, I literally date from the same time as the NES. But man, tabletop, I wish I'd gotten to it years ago. I guarantee you Table Bottom is a show that exists. Not Googling it. part of me has thought about doing a charity stream and trying to run Fatal. And then I come to my fucking senses. Because let's just say that that game is problematic. That's a fair term for that game. I don't see the necessity of being fair to that game because Jesus Christ. But I would say that problematic describes Fatal pretty damn well. But I've heard of other people trying to do it, for charity events, and no one can ever get past the character creation. Oh no, furries are fucking mid tier compared to Fatal. Everyone jokes about how DMs insert their fetishes into games. Yeah, Fatal takes that one to the logical conclusion. Have you guys heard of there's a parody game that I think would be fun to run? I do have a copy called Dungeons of Dragon in 40K. And I'd be interested in doing that one. Essentially a mashup of 40K D&D and just Hot Shots level parody. Yes, I'm not. That would be that's a way to describe that game. I've wanted to try GURPS, but let's be honest, there's so many damn source books. And I don't own any of them. And I don't know if the gameplay would be up my alley. I do like crunchy games. And some of the settings for GURPS are really cool. Technomancer is a really cool one. But I need to sit down and GIMPs. GURPS is the generic universal role-playing system from the 80s, and it's legendary for just how many different source books. If you can think of a character type, any character that you have, between a combination of GURPS books, you can make it. And I don't think I'm inaccurate if I say there are thousands of books that are compatible with GURPS. Official and unofficial, of course. And they all work on the same basic mechanics. Like any kind of test you do is just 3d6 plus stats, which is straightforward. But there's so much to the character creation. And part of the fun of tabletop is that there's probably an RPG for any kind of setting you want to play and any kind of game you want to play. I'd like to run something in Forge in the Dark, which is what derivatives of Blades in the Dark. I own Blades in the Dark in PDF, and then physically I own Scum and Villainy, which is essentially Star Wars or Firefly done Blades in the Dark style. And I think that'd be fun to run. One of the Powered by the Apocalypse games, Cities of Mist is up there. Monster of the Week would be fun since Good old-fashioned monster hunting. I've got Knights Black Agents, which is you're all special operations forces. You figure out the vampires are running everything and fight back. It's just the PDF version is formatted terribly and just reads terribly on my reader. So I may end up buying that one physically just for that. How do you own the mayor? Well done. I think he's too busy playing Overwatch, notice. Took me a second, but yeah, that's a bit accurate. I'd have him sign the damn book if he was nearby, honestly. Man, that's a lot of leads. I'm almost done with resistors. Holy hell. And surprisingly, I've almost got them all arranged in order. I'm going to end up with some 1K resistors after this, which is fine. They don't go bad. An RPG that I got to build a character on once, and the campaign just never happened, was Exalted. I think Exalted would be a lot of fun because as much as people talk about D&D being a heroic fantasy, a power fantasy, Exalted just runs with that. You are scions of the gods who literally exist to wreck shit. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's a lot easier actually to just do this one at a time. Pretty much. Yeah. I think they're actually called Eternals in the game. Be honest with you, I wouldn't quote me, but I believe that's true. Another that I'd like to try is something in Numenera, which is Monty Cook's setting that he created the Cipher system for, and it's a really cool setting. He did do a conversion to 5e, but I would probably run it in the Cipher system because I think the Cipher system is a very cool setting. System, excuse me. where you have 3 pools: might, intellect, and will, I think. But they're also your HP. So using them to get better chance on rolls can cost you in the long run. Oops. I accidentally soldered over a hole. Didn't know to do that. There we go. I used to really, really hate desoldering, but I wish I had used flux back then because it really makes it so much easier. I mean, you saw me just now desolder that little bit. First try. Had to move the desoldering braid a little bit, but that's just because it's used up. I have not, Ash. Have you went and fucked yourself lately? Fair. Right. God, almost done with this set of resistors. Oh, so Ash, in a previous stream we were discussing, as you normally do, you were making fun of the fact that Americans and Europeans use 2 different symbols for resistors on schematics. And I got interested the other day, and I was looking up to see why there was a difference. And technically, we do use both are acceptable in America. However, the squiggly, um, the logo for or the emblem for a resistor in America is just a squiggly line. And in the European scheme, it is just a blank square. And I'm gonna tell you now, I prefer the squiggly line because it's easily to tell that it's something different. And the blank square can sometimes be used for other things, and I don't like that. And that's about the only difference. I don't think he even saw the joke about scum and villainy. I just finished reading the 5e sourcebook for Eberron, and that's an incredibly cool setting because I like seeing where the generic medieval fantasy gets out of the medieval stasis, and in Eberron, the Industrial Revolution happens, but instead of it being science like we did, they industrialize magic, and that becomes the science of their world. And so instead of guns, you've got people wandering around packing wands of firebolt or magic missile. And the setting is like the 1920s, so it's real pulpy with magical robots, airships, and similar. Oh, shit. And it is just a cool fucking setting. Currently, Brasso is running us in a campaign of Spelljammer, and I fucking love Spelljammer. Harry doesn't like 7 news at 11. I'm a man of refined taste. And if I did smash a little Debbie cake earlier. Oh shit, that's spicy. There you go, Ash. Hurt myself. Mayo S. Delinda. Look, part of the reason why I don't like mayo is it's used everywhere. It seems to be a default, and if I wanted bland and white, I'd look in the goddamn mirror. But why would you want something as boring, flavorless, and bland as mayo when mustard is a thing? One of the many, many versions of mustard. I'm going to say brown is the best one personally. I really enjoy good deli brown mustard. Although stone ground, it is not good. Don't get me started on ranch dressing. I do enjoy English mustard. I really do. I've got I think it's a jar of Coleman's in my fridge right now. I just vastly prefer brown mustard. I honestly, right now I've got Deli Brown, which is my go-to. Coleman's, a hot mustard from Walmart. It's a pretty good one-to-one for McDonald's hot mustard if they have in your area. And I've got a stone ground mustard from oh, what the hell are they? Eckarts, something like that. Stone ground mustards are really nice too. Okay, yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers! All the motherfuckers are in there. Jeebus. Brown black, it's 10. Let's see here. There's some more resistors. I'll do the caps next. Red, yellow, red, red. It's 3, isn't it? No, that'd be black, brown, red. That's 2. That's probably 2K. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anyone says. That one's a little low. That's not. I fucking love Mystery Science Theater. There's another resistor drop. Son of a bitch. Fucking amazing. One of the things I had thought about, and I still did a lot of gaming content, or I did any gaming content, was to do just take cutscenes from games and just MS3K over them. Never came to fruition. How it goes. That would require me being good at Overwatch, Ash. That's a 10 ohm. Okay. Mega ohm, I should say. Excuse me. What did I just see? 10 ohm. Yeah, there you are. Road to Perdition. Isn't that the Tom Hanks movie? You have trouble. No, Tom Hanks. The Road to Perdition is the one where he's a gangster. Green Mile is another one, which is another good Tom Hanks movie. Almost like the guy makes really good movies. Ash, you have trouble finding good tanks. At least until I show up. That's a 2K resistor. Well, I'm a decent tank. I got nothing on Allen. Prostate movie, dear God. Ash, I'm sorry to say, but I may not get a lot of Overwatch time this coming week because I've got a one shot to write. And you guys are doing a dungeon, just a heads up. That you know about it. Kyle, however, does not. Tell me I'm in the last 5%. Although, admittedly, I did do tank originally because I queued up all roles. Oh, that's terrifying. I have some extra resistors out of this kit, which again does happen. Don't worry, my friend. You'll find it. You'll see. I'll just go ahead and tell you. We noticed I've based every one shot on an 80s movie, 80s or 90s. The first one was kind of just based on generic high schoolness. The second one was Animal House, which I think you all figured out. And just saying, we're going into the Christmas season. So I made one that was appropriate. think these are 470 ohm resistors, so I'll put this 2K. Yeah, those are 470s. I can't say for certain on that one, Aang, because I don't care for most of the Scream movies. Quite honestly, I don't like slasher flicks because they require the audience to be, or not the audience, well, kind of, main characters to be dumber than fuck. Um, at least for ones that go for real, like Scream. The dude's a human. Bang bang. No more Scream movies. At least for things like Halloween, Friday the 13th. I can understand why they have issues, supernatural and all. But the ones I do like the or not Friday 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because Freddy Krueger is a great character and Robert Englund understood the assignment. And he overacts the whole time, chews up every bit of scenery, and it's amazing. Which is why the remake was garbage. Because Jackie Earle Haley did not go for humor. Kyle, if it helps you out, we've discussed this movie on this stream already. Ow, 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 ow. Pointy leads, pointy leads. Some LEDs in. Yeah, you're too far gone. My original idea for this third one shot was to do a Police Academy riff, and then this one came up. I don't think Kyle has the visceral hatred you do of root beer. Lord knows I do not. In fact, this weekend I am probably going to abuse some Fitz's. Not my immediate preference, but still, this is IBC is a classic solid root beer. And one that's readily available at every Mega Mart. Fortunately, it is an Art of War mode. Fine. It there so I can keep it separated from all the equipment, but now that it's empty, it doesn't matter as much. Yeah. Um, the only mug allowed on my workbench is the Art of Lore mug. If you can get a hold of it where you're at, I recommend trying to Fitz's, but I believe you're at a location to where, yeah, 1919 is amazing. They don't have it anywhere near me. Sprecher's is always a good choice. There. The reason why the image is normally towards the back is so I can get the handle easier. because I am an unabashed fan of the Art of Lore show. I've never once been to one of their streams. It wasn't a fucking blast. And some days I don't know whether they'll let me back. I Sprecher is the one that I go to. I buy most of my Sprecher at Menards, which if you're not from the Midwest, you're missing out because Menards is a cool place. Probably the only combination hardware, home improvement, and grocery store in existence. Although if you have one in your town, Ace Hardware's, for reasons, have been carrying craft sodas lately. And if you're into that kind of thing, they usually carry barbecue stuff. Lots of regional rubs and sauces, which is interesting. What I wish I had is a fucking Micro Center. Alas. Okay. Let's put a cap in. If I wasn't streaming this from my bedroom and inside, I would get a couple of these electrolyte caps, put too much power through them, and pop them. It is interesting. That's not going to happen in here. And I can say I pop caps on the stream. I wish Radio Shacks were still a thing. I remember going to them as a kid and just being fascinated by cabinets full of components. If I was in the Warhammer 40k universe, I'm pretty sure I'd be Adeptus Mechanicus. Where's there another LED go? Interesting. Fuck it. Merry Christmas. Let's put some numbers in. I figured the legs would be messed up. Micro Center or Radio Shack? Man, I knew these legs were gonna be fucking bent. That's fucking great. There we are. So that's cool. The fact that you could buy so much shit at a Radio Shack, especially for like the ham radio things, just fascinating to me. Ain, that's a very nice compliment. Thank you. I don't think I'd be on Belisarius Call's level, but it's still nice. Not there. Well, I'm definitely not a space marine. This is a good point, eh? Although you can tell that I'm a massive fan of the book Starship Troopers because I'm a huge fan of seeing power armor in any media. Yeah, were you feeling sick? That's some beefy leads. Oh, Keeper, we were talking earlier about static and dynamics. You were giving me some fucking flashbacks. Let's just say those were some hard fucking classes. And no, Ash, I have not been on Overwatch tonight. They weren't fun, were they? There's some interesting things to statics and dynamics. Just, it's a lot of math. A lot of math. And it's big kid math. One of the things I like about hobby electronics is even when you're designing circuits and you're having to do the math to design it, the math is pretty simple. Um, for example, the big one would be Ohm's law, which I'm going to go ahead and describe this. Imagine a triangle. At the top, it's got 3 sections. Top half just says V. The bottom half is split into I and R. Voltage is I for current and R for resistance. Current times resistance is voltage. So to get current, you divide voltage by resistance. To get resistance, you divide voltage by current. And it's just algebra. Straight up algebra. Honestly, it's probably closer to arithmetic. A flat world. Flat world's great. That's classic. And honestly, most of what you do to calculate anything on hobby electronics is straight up arithmetic or algebra. It's rather lovely. Yeah, if you've got capacitors in parallel, it's algebra. If they're in series, it's arithmetic, and then vice versa for capacitors. You like raise it? Wait, what? I didn't set it all the way in there, but that's okay. Care. Owie, owie, owie. Part why I don't care if it's not sit flush is these legs were bent while I was in there, which is why most kits put ICs and things like this into pieces of pieces of foam, so they're not only protected from electrostatic discharges, also so the legs don't get bent to hell. Oh yes, technically electrostatic discharge would be an issue, or could be an issue. I am doing this on a wooden desk, and I'm grounded. I don't wear an ESD strap. I never have. Probably never fucking will. I do own a couple. Just don't see the necessity. And for the most part, unless you're working on something like, cloth or something, you shouldn't either, especially if you're using a wooden tabletop. Never liked the SD straps, even when I was in IT. Okay, Ash, you've got to remind me, what does I like raisins more mean? I genuinely don't know what the hell you're talking about. Although I don't mind raisins. Yeah, I figured you're making some kind of a dad joke. Just I don't get, like, I don't know which thing you were referencing. And last I checked, you do get fair game at dad jokes. Currants, okay, fair. I often forget currants are a fruit. You don't see them very often here. Like I'm one of the few people that actually do like oatmeal raisin cookies, with the caveat that I am aware of the fact that they are oatmeal raisin from the start. If I go and think it's chocolate chip and find out that it's not, I'm unhappy. But you tell me from the beginning they're oatmeal cookies, I'm happy. I need to keep a notepad here so if I do want to talk about stuff like Ohm's Law or whatever in a stream, I can illustrate it a little bit better. Because, as far as I'm concerned, the source code of the universe is math. Although, given an option, I will stick to arithmetic and algebra as much as possible. I did my time with calc. Trig, I don't mind, surprisingly. You do a lot of cool things with trig. Isn't a current a golden raisin? Yeah, I kind of want some raisins. Not say I've said that sentence in a few years. That makes more sense. Also, while I couldn't tell you anything about wine, I do prefer white grapes over red, although I like both. I actually don't get why people like wine so damn much. And I think that a lot of the connoisseurs are doing it because they need to feel superior. Although I do think the whole process of venting, making wine, is fascinating. I have brewed beer before, I take it back. I have made wine once. I bought this kit back when ThinkGeek was still a thing that you use on a 1 gallon bottle of juice. Only thing is, it made fucking bum wine. That stuff was potent. I estimate it was probably at least 10 ABV. Didn't have a hygrometer at the time to test it, but it had some kick. Which is funny because nowadays I'm essentially a teetotaler. But anyway. Oh, hi. This is actually not one I'm fixing. This was a kit from, I believe I get this from Science Hut, but you can find them on Amazon, eBay, all the places. It's a pretty generic kit. And welcome to the stream. Get the fuck in there, you little fuck. Yep, this is a 6-digit. I think I said 8-digit at the beginning of the stream. My apologies. This is a 6-digit clock kit. Grapes nursing home. Well done. And I'm sure I didn't look, but I'm willing to wager that one of these ICs here in my setup is going to be a 555 timer, which is, I'd argue, probably the most made integrated circuit on the planet. And I love the little fuckers. They're using a lot of things. You're right. A little more. One of the things that kind of surprised me when I started getting into electronics again was I think everyone here is familiar with AAAs, AA's, 9-volt C cell and D cell, but single A batteries and B cell batteries do exist. They're just they never got a wide usage, and I don't know why. I believe A cells are still 1.5 volts like AA, AAA. Oh, I've wanted to learn horology, but I do have the equipment to do repairs. But yeah, let's just say that's above my pay grade. Well above my pay grade. If you want to look up a YouTube account to see some really cool watchmaking, I cannot recommend ClickSpring enough. His machining work is fantastic. And not only does he do really cool work with clocks, but he is building a replica of the Antikythera mechanism and doing it by hand and mostly using tools that only were available at the time, which is kind of cool. I have thought about buying one of those kits to make your own watch because I really do enjoy analog watches. Just never done it because they are, those kits are a bit pricey. I've never seen Golden Compass. But a ClickSpring is a component for traditional watches. I don't believe they're in quartz. Oh, appreciate that, Steve Cinder, but I know my limits, and I didn't get a lot of hands-on machining time when I was doing my degree, and I definitely don't have the setup for it. It's a lot, and I have a lot of respect for people who can build manual watches, especially ones that aren't quartz based. The ones that actually use a spring loaded mechanism to keep time. Yeah, I got nothing but respect for someone for a horologist, which I may be saying because I think the word sounds cool and a little bit funny. And no, before anyone in the chat asks, I know who's going to say it. It is not spelled that kind of whore. Think horoscope. You know, the bullshit people try to convince themselves where the stars influence their actions in any way. Okay, it's a very nice thing to say. And I agree. One of the big things we don't do is enough is find it okay to admit you don't know something. Like, be honest, when it comes like anything biology related medicine, I don't know shit. I know to put Band-Aid on the ouchie. Luckily, I have a bunch of nurses in my family. And, let's just say I know how to treat soldering iron burns real well now. Bet you can't guess why I know that. Ooh, that one got some airtime. Really, Ash? Fucking really? Dingleberry. Wait, who was it that convinced M. Night to let us re-roll on the funny number? Appreciate that. I'll be honest. I've said before in the stream that I wish I'd done electrical engineering instead of mechanical because I really do enjoy fucking with this stuff. And the dirty secret of soldering is that, what's the name of it? Surface tension. We'll do a lot of it. And I've been doing this for 20 years, 25. Yeah, close to 25 years. I learned to do soldering. My dad does this as a mechanic. He works on electrical systems in cars. And he taught me to solder when I was 16 so I could repair my base. And so I've done this on and off for 20 plus years. But I have said this a couple times on stream that I do believe anyone can learn how to solder. And I recommend anyone learning because there's a lot of fun to be had with electronics. Especially when you build shit that shocks things. Maybe it was me. Yeah, I get the memory of a goldfish some days. Blame the reefer. Damn, these legs are bent like hell. Huh. I've had to. I am getting better at desoldering, mostly because I've had to do it because I've soldered things in wrong. Don't look at what I'm doing. Grab the wrong resistor. Grab the wrong capacitor. Here we call this spicy Carmex. This is flux paste. If you're soldering and you need to desolder, that'll save your life. And I really need to sit down and print off that Spicy Carmex logo and tape it on there. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare, isn't it? About 3 steps away from going to a different component. Get the fuck in there, you little shits. This is why I always prefer kits that put the multi-lead items in foam. Then, a little late for that, I do believe. And quite honestly, I didn't want to do the surface mount tonight because I didn't want to hate myself. I have some kits to train myself on surface mount soldering. Ugh. Well, let's just say it's a pain in the ass. Through hole is far better. If you're designing, of course, you're probably gonna, if you're designing for anything besides just, hobby work, you're probably going to want to go surface mount. It's just the default nowadays because it is more compact. But you do still see through hole in some things, especially beefy capacitors. And as someone who does retro games, capacitors are kind of, much as I like them as a component, can be the bane of my existence. The Greek restaurant we had in town, which was here for years, she retired late last year, and I was kind of bummed because they had absolutely killer gyros, and she was cool as hell. Super cool lady. Nice as you can get. And they were very close to my house, which is perfect when you're lazy. Oath of Aloe Fixer, I can fix. You missed the stream I did last week where I tried to repair Game Gear and foobarred it. That Game Gear is no longer with us. Although the other one I fixed, I did off stream because I just wanted something to do on a Saturday morning, is awaiting a IPS screen that I got from AliExpress and is apparently now in the US at least. I am XIT and I could not agree more. The 3D printer over here to my right is less of a headache than a 2D printer. That's why I didn't own a 2D printer for years. I actually bought it to DM a D&D one shot at the local gaming convention that was the first one they had this year, Heartland Gaming Con. Okay. I guess we can start putting these in. That's not it. And I wanted to, since I did say that I was preferably going to DM the one shot I did for new players. I had some pre-made, some pre-gen characters printed up. Book of Oats. No, but I need to look that up. Also, I genuinely like oatmeal, so that could be related. Yeah, Ain. M. Night, yeah. Let's just say that thought has occurred to me as well. Unfortunately, because AliExpress is actually a fantastic place to buy components. In fact, here's one set I bought that is just full of stuff: resistors, capacitors, some diodes down there, and some perf boards. And I've got a couple other boxes full of that stuff down there. Because electronic components are not expensive. Not currently. And AliExpress and Temu, for a lot of the mostly deserved reputation, are really good places to buy components at. Ash, does your cunt button have an off switch? Well, it looks like I'm not going to be powering this tonight because it uses... Huh. I didn't catch that in the kit. I thought this was battery powered. It uses a power junction, which I don't have wires. We're trying to remind myself to get out and get some at Ace or Harbor Freight or what have you. Because I'm not needing any high gauge wire. I'm not making a welder. One, I don't know how to weld. Two, welding in a townhouse is not really recommended. You know, fire burns. The more you know. Although welding is a skill that I would like to possess. Honestly, most manual machining is a skill that I would like to possess, but that's an investment in machines and space. My dad actually does have a lathe in his shop for mostly for making sure that stuff fits. And I've never got to use it. And I thought about buying some aluminum stock one weekend I'm down in my hometown and trying it. Because watching stuff on the lathe where you see the cutter go through it, it just slowly thins, it's fucking cool. There's a reason why on Office Space they break a print at the end. I wish I'd taken it in school. I mean, there's a lot of regrets I have about not going back to school until late in life. But I wish that I had learned welding or anything in shop besides how to slack off. I did get to see a dude catch his own pants on fire. Yeah, so there was that. My dad does know how to weld, and I believe he's got a stick welder in the shop somewhere, but I would also need time to sit down and learn that. And well, isn't anything that's at a fucking premium anymore? It's time. I don't miss tech support. I technically do it nowadays, but I'm more application support, mostly for CAD. Um, there's some parts of IT I miss. There's some cool stuff to IT. And then there's a lot of, did you try turning it off and back on again? And that wouldn't be a trope if it didn't fucking work. I've heard that about stick welding. I keep playing IT people in DG because you guys need that. Although even with high computer science roles, I still roll like, or high computer science scores, excuse me. I still roll like garbage. Here we go. Use flat? Okay. Could not agree more. The good thing about welding, or not welding, excuse me, soldering is especially, it is very cheap to get into. I've thought about doing a stream where I buy just the cheapest kit on Amazon with the cheapest kit soldering iron and trying to do just go through it, show anyone can just pick that up. Because hell, iron that I am currently using is a Harbor Freight Special. It's a Snyder welding, goddamn, soldering station, and it's a very fine little soldering setup. It is not high end like a Hako or something. I think part of the thing with DG, and I'm not saying this about our group by any stretch, is a lot of people go into it thinking, oh, they're all government agents, they all need to be combat focused. And there can be combat in DG. It doesn't go well. If anyone's wondering what I mean by DG, it is Delta Green. And I've come to really love that game, and I love the setting. All I don't like about Delta Green is how badly I fucking roll while I play it. But you know what? I roll terrible no matter what I'm playing. I DM'd a full Curse of Strahd campaign. In one combat, both the monsters that I was running were or had advantage on will saves for spells. And I still, the entire night, did not roll above a 10 at any point. I actually have an RPG that I bought that is sort of based on the game Control called Triangle Agency, so close. IT and Correctional Service, interesting. I did just Corp IT, which is fine. It was boring, but a lot of time I could sit and just bullshit on Reddit, which was nice. And I was still going to school then. So things got slow, homework got done. Happy you're happy, that's all that matters. And IT is going to be similar to IT in anywhere. There's always some unique variance depending on where you're at. Network is a network is a network. Damn, it's later than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was only going to go to 9:30 tonight, but you know what? I'm going to finish this damn thing off. I ain't going to be able to power it since it uses a wire junction instead of a USB or something. And I don't know what power it takes. Like, is it 12 volt? DC 5 volt. It could run on USB. Okay. I am of the belief that if something can be ran on USB power, it needs to be ran on USB power because one connector to rule them all. And that connector is USB-C. Fuck you, Apple. No one likes Thunderbolt. But I don't think I need to spend a whole stream talking about how much I fucking hate Apple. The Church of Scientology of technology. Oh, fuck off, Ash. Filthy wanker. Well, that's fair. I got you earlier today. Keep watching, Ash. This is make it to the owl. because I am getting very close to the edge of this piece of solder. And I know it's a dumb thing. But it's going to get spicy. Yep, that tingled. That tingled quite a bit. Municipality, city, town. You're in the ballpark. Deuce? I miss it. Yeah, I did miss trimming the lead. I'll be damned. I was the only IT person at the facility I worked at, which is a rural farm one, and the closest to anyone else in my company was in St. Louis, which was from there 3 hours away. I think let's see, it's about 130 miles. So I think it was 200 kilometers. For some reason, kilometers and miles is one of the few metric to imperial conversions I cannot do in my head. I have to think hard about it. Like I can do temperature and millimeters or centimeters to inches pretty quickly. Oh, mass. Well, weight, whatever. Kilometers, I always have to think about. Half the time I end up just calculating, throwing it on the calculator. My phone. 2 hours away, yeah. I guess it was probably, see, if I leave my house, I can get to St. Louis in an hour and a half. So it was probably 2 hours from my facility, depending on traffic. 1.2 miles. Okay, that's easy to remember. Wait, I thought kilometer was smaller than a mile. I may be wrong. Although, unlike most of my fellow Americans, I do believe the metric system is superior. But that is mostly based on the fact that I fucking hate fractions. I hate fractions, and you never do fractions with millimeters. Well, if you do, it's quarter or half. I can do that in my head. Fractions are one of the few parts of math that I really do not like. I always struggle with fractions. Funny, I can do differential equations. Yeah, no sweat. Give me a fraction of noob. I will argue, however, that Fahrenheit is an easier temperature scale for human comfort, as 0 to 100 is pretty reasonable. Although earlier, I was on this computer that I'm streaming on here is my old laptop. I use my current one is downstairs, and I had it. It had reset from Windows Update, and of course has a temperature on the login screen, and I was looking at it, and I forgot that I had put it in a metric, and so it was showing -2 degrees. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And then I remembered, oh, this is Celsius. This is Celsius. That makes more sense because it's roughly 28 outside here Fahrenheit. Yeah, normally, when I'm in a game with Ash and I mention temperature or someone mentions temperature, I usually go ahead and give him the full on translation. Hey Ash, this is such and such. And Celsius. Because that conversion is actually really easy. Especially if you memorize a couple of the simple ones. Besides boiling and freezing, of course. Room temperature is 20 Celsius, which is 68 Fahrenheit. And then 20 Celsius is 50 Fahrenheit. No, I'm sorry, 10 Celsius is 50 Fahrenheit. My bad. And when it comes to stuff like inches and centimeters, there ain't a whole lot of fucking difference. I know 2.5 centimeters to an inch and all, but there's not a lot of difference. The way to do it that I do in my head is take your Celsius, double it, take away 10%, then add 32. I want to say, I didn't learn that in college. I don't remember where I learned that. I almost want to say it was Bill Nye. Bill. But I'm not. Oh, I'm not certain. At this point, I've done it so fucking much. Um, yeah, 20 C is what my house stays at. Unless I think it's a little bit chilly or something, I need to kick it on, or if I've been doing something outside, I'm hot in the summer, and I want to kind of cool off a little more down. I actually don't think my thermostat does Celsius, which I mean, Fahrenheit country. So I don't think it does Celsius. That's neither here nor there, and it doesn't really matter in any case. And yeah, small temps, which is for what I'm normally doing it for is outdoor temps or something like that. Um, Honestly, the last like big temp that I calculated from Fahrenheit to Celsius is my soldering iron only shows Fahrenheit. This soldering station does, but the USB soldering iron, well, cordless one that I bought is in Celsius by default, which I just left it because it's 420 Celsius, which LOL 420. Owie. So I just left it. Plus, that's about what I keep my station at. Station is at 720, 730 Fahrenheit. It's the dial just shows between 700 and 800, so I kind of just leave it. It's a little hard to guesstimate exactly where you're at on that one. And I probably do need to calibrate it, but that's a problem for future Derek. Because part of me does want to update to something like Yahuwah, I believe is how you pronounce it. Just have it drop the cash on it. And this does quite fine. The one temperature scale I will not do anything in is um, Rankine. I don't fucking understand it. I had to use it in college, but I'd never once seen Rankine used anywhere in actual real world use. I don't think I ever fucking will. Kelvin's easy enough. Kelvin's fine. And I've actually seen Kelvin used in real life. Exactly, Rankine is rank. And what I think is interesting about Kelvin, and that a lot of people don't, which it's acceptable to do it either way, is technically you don't put the degree symbol with Kelvin, which I always thought was interesting. And that's my cat. Yeah, that's interesting. They're not they're the same. Interesting. Okay, they did include. Okay, so I was gonna say I don't think they put chip holders for the longer ICs, but they do, which I thought was interesting because, like, I mean, yeah, it's whatever. If you're gonna use an IC in a circuit, unless it's gonna be surface mount, I do prefer using the IC holder because in case you do have a circuit that goes bad and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with it, you can just pull the damn chip. Yeah, I have not seen Rankin outside of college, and I've got friends who do industrial mechanic work. I've got friends who do industrial chemistry. Never seen one of them use that. I don't know anywhere Rankin is used. I couldn't even tell what the conversion is anymore. I know it's roughly analogous to Kelvin for Celsius, but I don't remember the scale, and I'll never use it again. I honestly didn't understand when I did classes why they'd have us do stuff in the Rankine scale, because even the professors admitted that you don't use it. The temperature is COBOL list of programming. Yeah, I'm sure someone used it at one point in time, but it ain't now. They did not include holders for the long chips. I'll be damned. Interesting. I got one in. Well, what did to leave? I don't think they did. No, I can solder the chip in. That's not a problem. It's the same as soldering just the connector in, but just odd. Rankin did, yeah. Well, oh no, that ain't good. Two of the connectors popped right out. That's not good. I may end up soldering. I think I've got some spare IC holders in my stash, but I sometimes think Rankin or learning stuff in Rankin was like a bone thrown to Imperial or nothing guys, which I just don't know why you'd be Imperial or nothing. There's literally nothing wrong with the metric system, although I have certainly made the jokes. You know, there's two kinds of countries countries that use the metric system and countries that land on the moon, but it was a joke. Yep, fuck this. No, nope. I'm just putting this damn connector, putting this chip in straight up. Because that connector was a pain in the ass and it kept breaking on me. Let's see here, you're 24. 5BE. Man, these are. Here comes a fun one. One thing that I want to do on a stream, if I can find a good project to do it with, is I'd like to do something with Peltier devices on stream, which, for anyone who's not aware, Peltier devices are thermoelectric coolers. Although I would say that thermoelectric heat pump may be a better way for it because it does move heat through solid state electronics, but they're expensive. So I want to make sure if I'm going to do a project, I'm going to have something cool to do with it. They're also inefficient as hell, which is why we don't use them in many things. At least they're currently inefficient. Although you can generate electricity from heat differentials using them. It's just not much heat or energy can be generated. That's why you only really see them in mini fridges, because otherwise it's just far less efficient than just standard ass refrigerator with the compression cycle, which we do have down to a pretty good science nowadays. While your air conditioner is using, R134A or whatever the newest one is, the replacement for Freon, um, your refrigerator often uses propane as its refrigerant. Yeah, Andrew Celsius, for some reason, he made the freeze point the high one. I don't know why. And I don't think Dr. Celsius, I think he's a doctor, ever explained why. But yeah, it was a much better idea to do it the way it is now. Um, oh, violin was Swedish. Okay, it's like the reason why Fahrenheit or freezing is 32 is because 0 was set as alcohol ice solution, which was the coldest that Fahrenheit could do, at least with technology back then. Damn, these seating ICs is always a pain in the ass. Yeah, I don't remember the exact thing that Fahrenheit was using when he came up with it. Although I admit, I'm gonna tell you now, I think Fahrenheit sounds cooler than Celsius as a word. Name, whatever, what have you. I mean, asking Cinder what country you're from. I fucking hate seating ICs. I fucking hate seating ICs. Ugh. Grief. Plus, I think boiling water is a pretty good um, milestone, reference point, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much everyone knows what boiling water looks like. Yeah, salt ice, that was what it was. Which, I mean, in Fahrenheit's defense, I mean, that time I don't believe Celsius existed. And America was actually going to be a metric country. We had, I believe it was a default kilometer or meter. It was sent over, and there was 2 sent, and both of the ships that they were on sank. I want to say it was actually one of them might have been on the same ship the original Statue of Liberty was on, but that never made it here. It is true. We do use drug and ammo metric. Certain ammo. But you still see. Now I'm a gun owner. I'm a gun fan. A lot of guns are still in caliber, which is point something inch. Like my carry pistol is a 45, and it is 0.45 inches. And it's also one of the 2 patent drawings I have on my wall. Yeah, you actually see grams and bacon a lot, which is a bit, well, a bit out of the norm, but yeah, and especially for calibers that aren't normally used on or weren't traditionally used on American weapons or are NATO certified, 7.62, 5.56. Which I believe actually was an English thing originally. Brown best pattern black powder rifles were 0.75 inch. But I agree, volumetric, except for things like a teaspoon or something. Such a it's a minuscule amount is not. It's if you can use um weight, it's always better. I am not a baker or a cook. However, I've got to fuel my family, and anytime you can weigh what you're going to be using, just works better. And I think some of the reluctance to use metric here is conservatism, not of political sense, just of don't want to don't change something for any reason, just because it's a pain in the ass. Which okay, that one I can work with that. That makes a little bit of sense. But I genuinely don't see why we haven't switched completely. It it will happen. I don't see any reason why it's always going to be the imperial system. But that is above my pay grade. 4013. 45. There's 4013. And okay, yeah. And before now, this is before my time, of course. In the 70s, they did try to switch over to the metric system, and it was not well received, which I think was partly because people didn't want to change, partly because the way they did it was typical government ham-handedness. But I remember seeing as I was a little kid, street signs that had metric and imperial on them, which I believe Canada uses still in certain parts. Ain may be the better one to ask that one. Yeah, we have let's say a hacked together version of the imperial system. I think yeah, stones. Which is odd because the UK when I was still into combat sports, you'd see broadcasts from the UK and they would weigh their fighters in stone, which I always thought was amusing. I don't remember the conversion off the top of my head. It's a weird one. They don't have imperial. That may have been once from about the same time they tried to attempt it here, and just Canada, at least, is a metric country. I don't get why it's so hard for people to grasp, especially because in America we do learn metric in schools. Well, yeah, I mean they have to know the U.S. system. It's like it's a completely unrelated thing is why in Europe and most of the world, honestly, the plant the coriander seed comes or grows into be is called coriander. But here in North America, because most of us are first exposed to that plant from our south of the border friends, you almost always hear it called cilantro. Same plant, different name. And I am lucky that I don't have the gene that makes it taste salt or soapy. I genuinely enjoy cilantro. Although, oh yeah, no arithmetic. Oh god, that these looks fucked. I don't have any of these in stock. I don't keep a lot of chips. I do like that these are all Texas Instruments. Shout out to Texas Instruments. I've got a family in Texas, and Texas is actually a very, very gorgeous state. It gets a bad rap in media for somewhat deserved reasons, but every time I've been there, people have been incredibly friendly, and Texan beer and food are some of the best in the country. Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you like a lot of the formulas from like dynamics or statics I did in college, so I don't really use them in work. That leg is fucked. The one thing that um the different name food that I think Europe beats us on is rocket is a cooler name than arugula. That chip is just fucked. Um, I used to think that eggplant was a dumb name for that plant because I think what's it, aubergine is what Europeans call it, something in that name, in that vein. Um, so I saw eggplants grow and they look like fucking eggs. I don't know if which continent you're on, if they call it aubergine or eggplant there or what they call it. Just arugula and rocket's the one I remember off the top of my head because rocket is such a cooler name. Tear this off because these are going in my parts bin. Um, it's getting late here and I've got to be up early for work. And we're getting near the end of the year and that gets dicey. It's been fun hanging out with you all. I'm sorry I didn't get this all put together. Partly because that chip is giving me issues, partly because it's late and I want to go to bed. I'm going to call that stream here. I hope you all have a great night. Stay out of trouble, especially you, Ash. Good night, everybody.